Today I want to welcome Dave Tanzer. Again, he is just a blessing to us here at Senior Planet. He is here at Senior Planet Colorado. Dave is our tech help volunteer who does so much work for everyone. It's amazing. Not only our Colorado members, but he's helped many of our national members as well. So today we're going to talk about automatically filtering messages to keep your inbox small. So this is related strictly to Gmail. With that, and Dave I do have the handout for you. Like I said, I'll send that as a follow-up. So Dave, if you want to get started, the fact that I took so much time, Dave will run over, but remember we're recording it and I will send everyone the recording in the follow-up email.
Great. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that we're talking about Gmail, using Gmail specifically in a web browser. That could be done on a PC or a Mac or even on an iPad. I can show that to you later. The filtering stuff, unfortunately, is not available, that I'll talk about today, on the apps for Gmail. So the Gmail app on at least the iPhone and the iPad does not appear to have the options I'm talking about today. Although if you set them up on a browser device, you know, a browser on a computer or a laptop or a tablet, then they will certainly work on your iPhone, but you won't be able to set up new ones like I'm going to talk about today. So this is a little bit, again, more computer browser specific for this talk rather than totally generic. And specifically for people that are using the Gmail application, the Gmail web application for looking at their email. As I mentioned the other day, you don't have to do this only with a Gmail account. You can set up a Google account and pull in emails from other sources like Hotmail or AOL or whatever. But it's strictly talking about Gmail as a web application. And when I say a web application, that means something you do in your browser, okay, instead of something you download onto your computer or your device. Okay, so what I'm going to do, so that will hopefully, if you don't use this, then you're welcome to stay and watch, or I just wanted to warn people. Okay, so yeah, what we're talking about today is a little bit more of an advanced topic in Gmail, but this really is not rocket science. This really isn't hard to do or hard to understand. What's happening is you can tell Gmail that when messages in your inbox match certain criteria, it could be who sent it or something in the subject or a whole variety of things, then you want it to do something about that particular email. And in this case, what I'll be talking about is taking it out of the inbox and putting another label on it. And so what I do is I'm subscribed to all kinds of email lists, news things and recipes and whatnot. And so I get lots and lots and lots of emails coming in every day. And I don't want them in my inbox. They're not really important to me. And Gmail has a concept of important emails, and you can actually set it up to show those first and things like that. But I actually want to have finer control over that because I don't actually think it does as good a job as I can do this way. So that's what we're talking about today. And we talked about labels the other day. So for those of you that weren't able to join us on that, I actually in the chat have uploaded the file I'm going to be showing you today, and also a link to a Google Drive that has not only this file, but also the other files I've been using for these chats, and including the labels one. So, feel free later on to get that stuff from the chat. Okay, so if you're looking at an email in your inbox that you don't want to have come into your inbox anymore, then there's a few simple steps you have to do. One is you have to copy who it came from. So in this case, this is some recipe thing, and I want it to not go here. So what I did was I copied the part of the email from the @ sign to the end. And the reason I could copy the whole thing, but I don't care what's on the left side of the @ sign, just that the sender has this. It's called a domain name. It's or computer name. I just want anybody at, in this case, recipesfromapantry.com. And then up here, I sort of blew this up. There's 3 little dots on the upper right here. And if you click on that, it gives you a menu of things you can do. And one of them is filter messages like this. Okay, and that's the one we want to select. And then up will come a little pop-up window where you're gonna, it's like the search window we looked at the other day when we were talking about searching. It has different things that you can select from here to specify which emails you want to filter. And sometimes it puts the address in here, and sometimes it's going to put in a subject with a list information. And if it does that, then just erase that and paste in the address that you just copied, or in this case, we could just strip out the stuff to the left of the @ sign, okay? And the idea is we want to say any email that comes from @recipes. So that's what I've done here. I've stripped out the @ sign. And like I say, if it has stuff down here about list identifiers, I would take that out because lists can change, but this address won't. So if they change and they redo their list and it comes up with a different list identifier, they'll keep filtering this message. So I get it to where I've specified where these messages come from, and I click on Create Filter. Okay, and if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and just speak up, because I may be going too fast, but just let me know.
Once
And,
a question.
sure.
Once you filter it and it goes out of the inbox, where does it go into?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay.
And Dave, this is Judy. I think I already lost you. So,
All right.
so in other words, can I follow by going to my iPhone Gmail? And should it,
Right. And, unfortunately, the answer is no. Okay. You can, if you're on like an iPad, you can go to Gmail in Safari or some other browser and all this stuff works fine.
Oh, okay.
You do Gmail on a portable device, the Gmail application. As far as I can tell, it has no way of doing this. I spent some time looking for it, and both in Google and on the apps, and couldn't figure out a way to do it. If anybody knows how to do it, then let me know.
So again, these are instructions we should use afterwards using our Mac or our iPad.
Any place you use a browser, where other than the problem with doing it on the phone is that when you're on the phone, it won't show you that this thing I just showed you here, these 3 dots and the filter messages like this, doesn't come up. It doesn't come up in the browser on the phone. It's too small.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Sure.
Dave, Dave,
Yeah.
we have a request. Can you make your screen a little larger? Is it possible?
Sure. Is that better?
I also advised people to switch to speaker view as well.
Oh, yes. Well, they
have
should
another
change
question.
this on their devices. If they're looking at it on a phone, I can understand. I'll blow it up when I get to certain points. Is that readable for most people? Thumbs
Is
up.
that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can probably make it even a little bit bigger. Let me see. I just want to make sure the width is there. Okay.
And someone's asking about how do you get to Dave's PDFs? Anybody who came on late, you'll be getting the recording of this call, you'll be getting the handout and a lot more information. So everything will come to you. Don't feel like, okay, I didn't remember. It'll all come to you later today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I also put a link to a Google Drive that has it, and I put the file in there. I can do that sort of towards the end of the chat as well, so that you can get that from the chat in a little bit as soon as I stop sharing the screen. Okay, so again, sort of to refresh for those that joined us a little late, what we're talking about is automatically processing stuff that's coming into your inbox. And that's done by when you're looking at an email, there's these three little dots that show up like right here, but I've kind of blown it up here. And that's a menu of things to do. And before we do that, we copy who it came from, the part of the sender that's after the @ sign. And if you don't see this stuff, this little triangle here will pop up a little window with more information that has also the sender address. I can show that to you live because sometimes you don't see that. But you can always get to who sent you an email. Okay, and then you select filter messages like this. And then you want to make sure if it doesn't have the address, if it puts in the whole address, just remove the part to the left of the @ sign. If it puts in something else about the list identifier, just erase that and paste in what you just copied, which is this address after the @ sign. And then, I think this is where we were when we stopped. And then you click Create Filter. So I put in the address, I click Create Filter. Okay. And then, so this has two pop-ups. The first one is your search criteria, or how it should figure out which inbox messages to handle automatically. And the next one is what to do with it. And as you can see, there's all kinds of things. Yeah, you can mark it as important if that's something you use. But what we're talking about today is we want to skip the inbox. If you don't check this, it'll stay in the inbox, which is not what we want. So we're going to check that, and then we're going to apply a label. And we talked about labels last week, and you just click on Choose a Label. Okay, so we're going to click here, and a little checkbox will appear, and we click Choose a Label. And in this case, I've made a label called To Read. See it right here. So I just click on that. Okay, and then let me see if I have that. No, I don't have it. So after you do that, you click on this Create Filter button right here. And that will create a filter. You can actually see your filters by looking at all your settings. There's a tab for showing you your filters, and you can change them later if you want to move it to a different label or something. I do that all the time. So in this case, what this means is every email from @recipes, any email that contains @recipesfromapantry.com will go to the To Read folder and automatically be taken out of the inbox, which is what we're trying to do here.
Dave, we have a
Yes.
question from Jan. Jan,
Okay.
go ahead.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are, Jan. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to know, like I just did one for Newsday, and every email of Newsday is coming up when I want to create a filter. Every single one I've ever gotten, I think.
Well, it'll show you all of the old emails. Don't worry about that. Yeah.
Will it
so
take
you
all
might
those
have
old-
some in your inbox or whatever. I can talk about what to do about those later. We're talking about future emails here, and during this process, after you select your criteria, it may show you lots of old ones. Don't worry about that. Just go ahead and create the filter.
Create it? Okay.
All right. And I'm going to actually show this to you live because I got an email yesterday that I want to filter. So I'll show this to you live in a minute. Okay, so what I've done is I have a to read folder. I actually have a whole bunch of labels or folders I use for this process. And I also have a probably trash. So one thing that we talked about the other day is sometimes you'll get emails that you might have subscribed to, but you don't want them anymore. So you click the unsubscribe link and they keep sending them to you, right? And so this is how you fix that. Okay, somebody asked about that the other day. What you do is after you unsubscribe, you go back to that email, go through this process, and send it to what you can call this whatever you want, but make a label called something like this, and just send any future emails from that that address to probably trash. You can also come up here and just say delete it, but I tend to not look through the trash that carefully. So what I want to do is have these go to an intermediary label, and then I go through that every day and just make sure nothing got in there that I really wanted. And if so, I'll take it out of there. But this is a way of dealing with unsubscriptions that don't work. So you can either make a label, probably trash. You can come up here and instead of choosing a label, you could check delete it. And then anything that matches your search will get deleted automatically. Sometimes what happens is you'll set this up based on a sender and they'll be sending you something else, not that thing. And you want to make sure that if that happens, you actually have a chance to look at it. Okay. And then, so what happens is, I talked about this the other day, but the way you get rid of things is like in this case, I've clicked on the spam folder, which is where Gmail puts things that it doesn't like, things that it thinks might have viruses or bad links in them. And after you click on the spam folder, then you click this little checkbox above the list of checkboxes, the column of checkboxes. On the very top is a special one with a triangle next to it. You click on that, and then in the case of spam, that has a button called delete forever, and then those are completely gone from your email world. That's how you get rid of spam. And in this case, since I am filtering things like what happens is if you ever donate money to a politician, they sell your emails to everybody else. And so I'll get stuff from all kinds of lists that, and everybody wanting more money. So I have filtered all of those into the probably trash. And so if you click on that folder, whatever you call it when you set it up, again, click on the checkbox. In this case, it's not a delete forever, it's a trash can. And that will move all of these over to your trash label, your trash folder. Okay? And that's the difference between getting rid of spam and getting rid of other emails. I mean, you could do the same thing as we talked about when we were talking about Gmail searching. You might be going in to clean out your inbox and you just search for things in your inbox from a particular label, like Janet, you've got all these other things you want to filter. And you can search for those, and then either, you can then go and select them all, and then you can either use the trash can to move them to trash. You could use the labels button, which I don't think is on this picture. Let me see if it's on an earlier picture. There's a labels button that I talk about in the labels class. Yeah, that's this guy right here that lets you control the labels. And if you have a list of selected emails, you can click this and change the labels on them, like move them to a different label, that kind of thing. So what, as I say, the difference between getting rid of stuff out of spam is it has a delete forever, which does exactly what it says. And all the other folders or labels, whatever you want to call them, have a trash can. Okay. Oh, it actually was here. I just didn't see it. And if you wanted to move these somewhere else, you could click on this and select a different label other than moving them to trash. Okay. Any questions on this stuff so far?
We have a couple of questions in chat. One is the
Let me
difference between
stop the share, and then I'll get back and do the live thing in a minute. Yeah.
one is the difference between labels and filters,
Sure.
and
Well, let me answer that one. Since as people that have watched these before know that if I'm asked 3 questions, I've forgotten them all by the time the third one's asked. So I'll answer them one at a time this time. Okay, so labels are the things on the side of the Gmail display that are like folders in other email systems. The difference between a label and a folder in some other email systems is an email can have multiple labels, more than one, which means you can see it in multiple places. Where a folder, like you would apply to a file on your computer or a folder in many other email systems, each email can only be in one folder. In this case, it can be in lots of folders. And filters are a way of sort of programming, I guess you want to use that word, I guess, of learning how to program Gmail to do stuff with things in your inbox so they don't bother you. And I will do a demo of that here in a moment. So what we're doing is we're telling Gmail, anytime you see a message in my inbox, it looks like this. It's from a particular address. It has particular things in the message or in the subject. I want you to do something. And then as you saw in that thing I just closed down, there's all kinds of actions you can do. In this case, we want to get it out of the inbox and we want to give it a label. But there's a whole bunch of other things you can do as well. But that's what we're talking about today. Okay, and what was the next question? Did that help? Who asked that question? Monique? Oh, you froze.
that was Rose who asked that
Rose,
question.
did you might have to unmute yourself. Did that answer your question? Where's Rose?
No, I'm still confused.
All right. So tell me about your confusion.
Well, I guess I'm just not understanding what the purpose of putting a filter on as opposed to just labeling something. When you label it, doesn't it go into a folder like, you know?
Yeah, you can definitely do this manually. Like when you see the message, you can click the move to button and move it to a label. And that's exactly what we're doing, but we're doing it automatically instead of manually.
Okay.
So we're telling Gmail, instead of me seeing this in my inbox, I don't even want to see it. I just want it to go to this other place.
Okay,
So
but if you do want to
this is
see
the
it,
automated way of doing what you've been doing manually.
okay,
So
but
that-
if you do want to see it in both places, then you don't do a filter, you just do a label?
And you say in both places, what
In,
places?
in the inbox and in the label.
Oh, well, you could do that. You could have a filter that just adds a label but doesn't take it out of the inbox. You remember there was that little checkbox about remove from inbox? If you don't
Yes.
check that, it'll stay in the inbox and also add a label.
Okay.
So you can, all of those things are possible. But the idea here is instead of having to manually do it yourself, you're telling Gmail, if an email matches this criteria, this sender or whatever, I want you to automatically do this for me. Does
Right.
that
Well,
help?
I've had to do that before, but then what happens is if I don't see it in my inbox and I don't check the folders, then I
Right.
never see that
Yeah.
email.
No, and this is something where you really don't want to see it in your inbox. Okay, so this is only appropriate for things like messages, and I'll show you. Let me actually pull up my screen, and then other people can continue to ask questions. But I just want to show this to you a little bit more live. Okay, so let me switch over to my Gmail and let me blow this up. I want to make sure the little button doesn't go away. Okay. So what I'm talking about, Rose, is I never asked Instagram to send this stuff to me. Okay. I was trying to watch an Instagram live and it wanted me to make an account, and I did that. And now it's sending me this stuff, right? And
Okay,
then I will click unsubscribe. Okay. And it says, okay, you're unsubscribed. Okay. And it opened that up in a new tab. So I'll just close that and go back to where I was. Okay. And now I don't trust them. Okay. So maybe they'll unsubscribe me for real and maybe they won't. I think we've all experienced that.
yes.
So I'm going to say filter messages like these. And I don't care who it is, but in fact, I'm just going to say Instagram.com. Anything that has Instagram.com in the sender, I don't want to see in my inbox. So far, so good.
Okay,
And I click create filter and I say skip the inbox. And I'm going to put this into this label called
Oh.
probably trash. Okay.
okay,
And I say create filter. And it now will display there for a second. I think I hit something else. That's what you were talking about, Jan, I think. It displayed all the old ones. It doesn't matter. We're talking about future ones. And in fact, it has not gotten rid of this one yet. The filter is just talking about telling Gmail what to do in the future. So I'm going to go in here and I'm actually going to just take this and delete it right now. Okay.
okay.
And so, yeah, this looks like another one. We might be able to do this on. Okay. So, all right. So this is a good one because it's not really showing me who it's coming from. So I click this little show details button. Okay. And now this is coming from some pack that I've never heard of. Okay. And then I'm going to copy this so I can just click copy, or I was using Command C on a Mac or Control C on a PC. There's about 5 different ways you can copy things. Okay. And now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click the 3 dots and say filter messages like these. And I, again, don't care anything that ends in cbcpack.org. That's the ones I want to get rid of from the inbox. Okay. It's showing me, whoops, what happened there? Let me go back. Try this again. All right. Oh, I might have already set this up. That's why it's doing it. Didn't do a create filter. I've already got one. Let me show you how to see your filters while we're here. So if I'm up here and let me see if I might have to go down a little bit too. Oh no, sorry, I can do that. There it is. So if I go up here to the gear and I tap on that and I say see all settings, then right here it has filters and blocked addresses. Can everybody see that? I'll try to make that bigger. So up on the top of this, it has a whole bunch of what's normally called tabs or different pages in the, here's the one about labels, and here's how to control your inbox, and here's filters. So if I search for at CBC or just CBC org, let's see, I'll have to take a look at that. But you can see I've got gobs and gobs and gobs of filters. And that's how you can see them. If I wanted to go to a different place, I can click edit. And then this shows me who the filter applies to. And if I click continue here, I can change what label it's going to. Okay.
What about putting it into, can you mark it as spam if it's something that you don't want?
Sure. Yeah, or you bet. That's not what I do because I don't look at the spam that closely, but sure, you could do it to spam. Let me
Thank you.
let's take a look at that. That's a good question. Let's just, right. It's just being a little slow. So the easiest way to mark something as spam, by the way, is using this button right here. And in fact, if I was going to set up a filter to send it to spam, I would also report it as spam. And in all likelihood, that will work. But if that didn't work for some reason, I've never seen that fail, but if it didn't, and I went here to create filter, I just want to see if spam is one of our options. Let's see. Let's see, that's never marked as spam. Right. So what I would do in that case is use the spam button. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. From filters and blocked addresses, it has an edit or delete. I just tried one, this Newsday one. Can I delete, if I delete the filter, will it delete the attached email?
No.
It won't.
No.
Okay.
If you go in, let me go back to the filters. That's again, see all settings, and then filters and blocked addresses. Okay. If you go delete, that's just going to delete this filter, and then whatever that filter does right now won't happen anymore. So if you have a bad filter, just go ahead and delete it. If you want to change a filter, go ahead and edit it.
So when it's filtered, the email is not attached to it?
No, this is basically like really simple programming, sort of like doing macros in a spreadsheet or something. It's just a real simple way of programming an action, in this case, a future action on all incoming emails. Okay.
So what happens to
And
the
you're just
emails if I
removing-
filter them? So if I filter emails, let's say I filter all Newsday emails,
Right.
does that mean I never see them again?
It depends on what you've asked it to do.
I don't know
Remember,
what
there's
I asked
two
it to do.
parts. There's what you want filtered and what you want it to do.
I don't know.
you-
I created the
if-
filter, but I don't know what I did.
Well, if you edit the filter, it'll show you
Okay.
what you did. Okay?
Let's see, what did I do?
If you click edit, then it will show you what you're searching for, and then you click continue, it'll show you what actions it has. So it's
Okay.
associating a search string, a search criteria to a set of actions. And again, let me show that to you in the edit world.
Okay.
There we go. So if I edit one of these, right, this first page, just like when you set up the filter, is what's the search about. When you click continue, being a little slow, it's what you want me to do with it. What action should I take when I see that kind of email? You can do all kinds of things. You can give it a star, you can apply a label, you can delete it, you could automatically forward it somewhere else. All of these things, are those readable to people? So it says skip the inbox, mark as read,
Yes.
star it, apply the label, and so on and so on.
So
Okay?
you can skip the inbox and then you can let it go to a label as well.
Right. And let me show that to you here. I'm gonna see if I go down one level, is that still visible to people?
Yes.
All right. So you'll notice these numbers. You see I have lots and lots of labels, right?
Yes.
And the number next to the label is how many unread emails are in that label. Okay. So for example, that document I showed you would set up probably trash and to read, right? But when I did that, and then I was still getting too much stuff into to read. You can see it's got a lot of stuff there now. So I went ahead and And under that to read, I set up a bunch of sub-labels. Okay, we talked about this the other day in the labels class. When you create a label, you can put it under another label if you want to. If you don't, it'll be at the top level. If you do, it'll be under that label. So I've got, for example, I get this email from the New Yorker for the Borowitz report. I don't know if this is actually a fun thing to get. So
Really?
it's a satirical thing. And so today it's talking about Court Rosie may send troops only to cities he can identify on map. So this is a satirical, humorous thing you can get every day. So you see, I clicked on this to look at it, and now it doesn't show a number anymore. It had a 1 there before, right?
Mhm.
Because I have actually looked at all of these. So my recipes are going to come in here under the recipes under to read, and these are a whole bunch of recipes that I will look at separately. So somebody was saying, if you skip the inbox, how do you know you want to see these things?
Yeah.
And what I do is I see how many unread messages there are, and if I say, okay, I feel like looking at some recipes, I'll click on the recipes label, and I'll take a look at some recipes for a little while. If I want to see some news, I get gobs of news feeds. And instead of going in my inbox, they all end up here. So it's the Aurora Sentinel and Washington Post and New York Times and whatnot. Okay.
Yes. How do you create sub-labels? Is it hard? I don't remember learning
No,
that.
it's actually real easy. There's a variety of ways of doing it, of course. The nice thing about computers is that, let me see if I can do it from here. If I say create new label, and you can do that in the move button, in the labels button, there's a create new label. In the labels settings page, there's a create new label. They all come to the same place. And you see, you give it a name, and then if I select a label, it will go under that. So if I say to read, and I give it the name of test here, right? And I create it, that will create that. Whoops. All right, so it's telling me, great. Okay, so now under to read is this test label I just created. So that's as hard as it is to do. And what I can do, if I come over here, I can, and click on these 3 dots, I can just remove the label. That doesn't remove any emails, even if there were any in there, it just removes the label. I can actually add a sub-label right here if I wanted something under test. I can also edit it, and I think one of the things under the editing is whether I want this under to read, okay, or under something else. So I could put it under probably trash. And if I save that, that label gets moved from here up to right here. You see it's under probably trash. So that's how nested labels work. I didn't actually get to demo that the other day. Does that help, Jan?
Yes, thank you.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this.
And Judy
So
Davis,
some of the things you want to do in editing labels can be done from the 3 dots. In fact, most of them can, including giving it colors and all kinds of stuff. Right, if I wanted the Borowitz report to come in red, okay, then that one turns into a red label. And if I look at them, well, I probably can't. Well, maybe I can. Let me go look at one of these. Yeah, then that label turns red.
Oh.
Okay, and if I change the color to something else or just get rid of it, then that label goes back to gray. Oops, I did it. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Does anybody else have questions?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions, and so we're at 21 after. I know Judy Davis has her hand up, and then Moniette, if you can start scrolling through the questions in the chat, let's address some questions, and then We'll do that for 10 minutes. That will be the normal time ending. And then you can continue, and we'll continue the recording. As I said, everybody will get the copy of the recording. So go
Okay,
ahead, Judy.
so
Oh, great. Oh, thank you so much. So, Dave, you're just wonderful. Could you point out again two things? So to create a new label, so
Mhm.
where would
Right.
we, I bet it's right there somewhere. I
Yeah,
just don't see
it's
it.
actually in 4 or 5 different places. So let's say I wanted to give this another label. It actually has 2 labels
Uh-huh.
because everything from the New Yorker goes to To Read News, and this one also comes here. That's why it has 2 labels. Okay. And if I click here, you can see it's from the New Yorker. So
Mhm.
that's why it has both labels. But at any rate, if I come in here and I either say I want to move this to something, there's a create new here. If I come over here and I say create new, that gets me to the same thing. It's actually not what I wanted to do. Okay. So that's 2 ways off of the move to and labels buttons. If you come down here, and you might have to click on more to see everything if you've got as much junk as I have, there's create new label here. Okay.
Super.
So
And then
those
the,
all do the same thing.
Great.
Or the other way is if you are looking at your labels. So if you click on see all settings and go to labels, okay, and go down here and look at all your labels. I forget if it's on the top or the bottom of the labels. It's on the top. There's a create new label right here. Those are 4 of them. The other thing is if you're putting it under something, there's a like under, let me do it under something I don't, like under probably trash, this 3 dots has a add sublabel.
oh,
And then that lets you create it as
Okay.
a sublabel. So
Great.
those are 5 ways of doing
Super.
the same thing.
And again, the way to get that long list under labels of making it into a different color, you just go to the right of the label.
Yeah, you
and
can either click edit in the labels thing, or the easier way is to click this 3 dots here. Can you see that?
Oh, are there 3 dots to the right of each
Yeah,
one?
as you hover over it, it doesn't show until you hover over it. Let me get out of this. So if I'm just over here somewhere, okay, you'll notice there aren't any dots. But if I hover over it,
Oh, then it pops up.
it turns out this background, and I click here, and then I say label color, and I can make those labels a different color.
And
I can even add custom colors if these aren't good enough.
and last question, is there any reason why you would choose hide? So of course I would think you'd want to show the label.
Yeah, there are some labels that come with Gmail. I talked about this the other day in the labels class. That come with Gmail, you may not want on the left, so you can hide them, and I'll show you some that I hide. And the way to see that is to go look at your labels settings page. And you'll notice that some of these have a show. So I don't use the chat, so I've hidden that, which is why the show button is blue. Okay. And I've hidden all the categories. Somebody was liking promotions. I don't like any of these. I just hide them all. And it actually doesn't even show the categories label if you've hidden all of those.
Oh,
And
great.
likewise, I doubt if I've hidden any of my own labels, but I have hidden some of the other ones.
Okay.
Does
Okay.
that help?
Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Who's next with a question?
we have quite a few in chat.
All right.
Let's see. Is there any way to stop spam email?
So you have things coming into spam that you don't want to have come into spam?
No, they want to stop spam email.
Who asked
Period.
that
It looks
question?
like that's Eileen. Eileen?
That's
Arlene?
very dangerous. to stop
Yeah,
that.
Eileen, do you want to unmute and we can chat?
Okay, so I'm one of those that like to clean up everything every day. So even though many emails go into spam, I don't even want them to go into spam.
What would you like them to do?
I would like to not have received them at all. And I have blocked hundreds. I have used,
Sure.
and they still show up. They'll just change a few letters here or there, or the same company will have 10 different emails.
Well, it's actually, let me try to convince you that that's a good thing. I think that's what Judy was getting at before I interrupted her. The Gmail is doing a wonderful thing for you of blocking dangerous emails. And instead of just deleting them without you getting a chance to look at them, it puts them in spam. You don't have to really look at them. You can click that checkbox on the top of the column of checkboxes and just say delete all. There's even a button there that just says delete all spam. So you can do it in one click. So I guess my argument would be that this is not a bad thing, but actually a good thing, because otherwise you don't even get the opportunity to do things. So let me show you something here, because I saw this before in my spam and I didn't fix this yet. So, okay, so I've got my spam folder here, and normally what I would do is just either say delete all spam messages now. Can people see that? Blow this up. So there's a delete all spam messages now, or I can click up here and just not even look at them, right? But this one here, okay, is actually a message that I really didn't want to have go into spam, okay? This is talking about feedback on a webinar. So what I can do is click not spam, and that'll get it out of the spam folder, okay? And then everything else, I could just highlight them all and click delete forever, or click this link if you have more than a visible screen's worth of spam. So it's pretty easy. I go in there every day and just delete them all. If I don't believe there's a filtering option for delete forever. There is a filtering option for deleting emails, and I suspect that'll put them into trash. If I don't know of a setting that says automatically delete spam, it will actually delete them every 30 days. So if this bothers you, hide the spam folder. I showed you how to do that on the settings. You can hide the spam folder and just forget about it, right? So if you really are uncomfortable just doing this, you don't have to delete them every day. It'll do it every 30 days anyways. But if you come into labels here, I think I can do that. Yeah. So you can either hide it altogether or just show if unread. So if I hide the spam folder, then over here it just disappeared, right? And if I show it, it comes back, which is what I want. So if your problem is you don't want to even see spam, then I would just hide the label, and that doesn't let you do what I just did, which is to find things that got in there accidentally. If that's what you want, then I would hide it.
I have blocked.
It's a little dangerous because it's not perfect. You can easily get stuff in there that's wrong, as you saw with that message about the webinar tickets.
Yeah, I just wanted to state that I have consistently in all sorts of email platforms, not just Gmail, had, whether it's called spam or trash, not trash, junk, I've had people that I email regularly back and forth where one of their emails or more than one of their emails just pops into my spam.
Right.
And so there was very pertinent, important information that I needed. And, a couple times people have said, I sent you that email and, I just didn't happen to check my spam yet that day. And boom, that's where it was. So that's why I'm always leery of not, I like to keep tabs daily on my spam to make sure that I didn't get an important email in there.
Yeah, as usual, I completely agree with with Judy. So,
Well, I've had that.
and my wife, the boss, also agrees. So,
Well, I've had the experience of having tickets like from the University of Wyoming from the theater,
yes.
and they'll just send me my tickets, and I don't have my tickets, and I'll call them, and then they'll
Right.
say, check your spam folder.
Yes.
So there
So
they are.
I would not recommend hiding your spam folder, but if that's what you want, you can do it.
But I have blocked hundreds and they still show up. So even though I've blocked them, they still even show up in spam.
Well, that's what, if you say this is spam, right? Let me put on speaker view again, sorry. So this is Eileen. Yeah, Eileen, if you say this is spam in that button, then what you're telling it is in the future, put these in the spam folder. So it's just doing what you told it to do. Does that make sense? So, so you're not telling it to delete the emails when you click the spam button. You're telling it to put it in the spam folder.
No, I'm saying
And-
delete it. I'm actually selecting spam and asking it to delete. Delete forever. So it doesn't even show up in spam.
Okay, I don't think I quite understand your question. So when you click, let me see if I can simulate this. Hang on one sec. So let me go to here.
Dave, while you're setting that up, I
Mhm.
just want to let a couple of people know that in the answer Dave gave, it actually addressed a couple of other questions. How do I take something out if it's in the wrong place after I've used filter? You can, as Dave has shown, change the label or click and drag it back to where you want it.
Right. You can always change the labels on any email, either by dragging around, which tends to work for younger people a little better than older folks. Or you can use these buttons on the top. This is the labels button and this is the move to button. And the difference is if I click move to, it will take out this current label, which I'm searching by called probably trash, and move it to it, add a new label and get rid of this one. So when people talk about move in the computer world, it's a combination of copy, delete, and paste somewhere else kind of thing. And so it'll move it to a different label by getting rid of this one. If I just say label and pick another label, like if I say here, this is a coupons, which it isn't, then I have both labels. And the way you get rid of labels is you just click the little X. So let's say I report this as trash. Report this as spam. And so the options I have on mine, I've never seen the ones you're talking about, Eileen. The options I have are report spam and unsubscribe. Are you seeing a different thing here, Eileen, when you do this?
No, I see that and I report it and unsubscribe, but I will still get them in spam.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, hang on one second. Let me talk directly here. Okay. So what's going on is let me just explain this. When you report something as spam, you're asking Gmail in the future to put it in the spam folder and not your inbox. Okay. And if you say, and the reason there's that other option of report spam and unsubscribe is that if it sees an unsubscribe link in the email you're dealing with right then, it will give you that other option that says unsubscribe and report as spam, and that will do both. But in either case, you're just telling Gmail in the future, if you see things like this, put them in the spam folder. There is no option that I know of to say, in the future, I just never want to see this. I never want it to go into spam. I want you to find out who sent this and send them to jail, or lots of other options that come to mind aren't available. So,
Okay, thanks.
yeah. Okay.
So-
What's next?
We have, what is the exclamation mark next to labels?
All right. Let me go back. Sorry, this is probably a little crazy for people that I'm popping my screen up and down. So next to labels,
An exclamation mark.
Who asked this question?
That was asked by Miriam.
Hi, Ed.
Hi, Miriam.
Hi.
What are you talking about on the screen?
Now,
here?
next to the spam, on the left of the spam, there's an exclamation mark. The spam.
This thing here? Oh, that's just the icon they're using.
For,
So
for
you
what?
see
What
it?
does that mean?
Oh, it's
Oh,
just,
just okay.
it's sort of shaped like a stop sign, and the
Oh,
exclamation mark,
okay.
I would guess, means I mean it.
Okay,
Stop
so all
putting
the
this in my
spam is like
inbox.
that. Okay.
That's what I think that icon means, although that's just speculation on my part.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, who's
And
next?
Marion also did ask about undo feature. So an
Sure.
actual undo. Or,
Right.
or
If I go and let's say I come in here and I select a few emails and I just say delete. I'm not sure if this is blown up enough for you to see this, but
Yeah,
hopefully.
I can see
If I
it.
say delete, right, and then after it does that, it seems to be going a little slow. Yeah, you see right here, it has an undo. So some actions like deleting things will give you an undo, and if I undo them, then they just come right back here.
Sorry, where is the undo? I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's towards the bottom as a little pop-up. Let me do that again. So let me just pick a few of these probably trashes and click the trash can, right? Then look down here towards the bottom, and once they're deleted, a little pop-up will appear. It's just acting super slow right now. All right. Did I not click it? Let me try once more with feeling. All right. But at any rate, a little pop-up will show up down here. Right here, it says 5 conversations moved to trash. Can you see?
Oh, okay, so that undo, okay.
Then this is one way of undoing. Let's
Okay.
say I came into this message,
Okay.
right? And if I came into some particular message and I added a label, again, like coupons,
Mhm.
right? Then, if you just want to get rid of that label, you just click the X. Okay. So that's how you undo a labeling, is just get rid of the label. If I wanted to undo a whole bunch of labels, I could select some emails in a variety of different ways, searching or clicking on checkboxes, and then use the labels thing to add or remove a label from them. So like if I go into probably trash here and I click on, I just select everything and I go into labels, then this is checked, right? If I uncheck this, then that's going to remove that label from all the selected emails, right? And this has actually been some of these have automatically be put into some other ones. So you see down here, there's this to read right here in the Quora thing. So if I hit this minus, that will get, but the reason that's not a check is that only some of these have that label, which you can see is that Quora one. So if I touch this and then I say apply, then that to read should go away eventually. It took me to the first one. So if I come down here, then, it actually added it. Sorry, let me try that one more time. It probably changed it to check and I wanted it to change it to unchecked. Sorry, let's say I take social, it goes checked, I hit it again, and I say it takes it out. You want that checkbox to be unchecked. So I accidentally added to read to all of them and I wanted to take them away. So when it's minus, the first click makes it plus and the second makes it go away. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, who's next?
I think we caught most of the questions because your answers were multiple. So.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In the chat.
It's in the chat, Arlene.
See you in the chat.
Sometimes I delete an email and then get 10 or more back.
Yes.
Could be sometime later. Do you want to clarify
So
that?
yeah, if you want to unmute, who was that?
It's Arlene Rubin.
Go ahead, Arlene.
Hi, Arlene.
If I want to delete something, I send many of them back, like 10 of them all in a row.
Right.
And I don't know why that happens. And it doesn't necessarily come back right away. It may come back a few days later.
Well, when you delete things with the trash can in Gmail, what that's doing is it's applying the trash label. It actually doesn't take your other labels away from it. So what sounds like what happened, I'm not sure why, is the trash label got removed from those emails for some reason. I'd have to see more details. But if the trash label was removed, then all the old labels are still there and it would reappear. You can do that manually by going into the trash and saying it's not trash, and all that does is the same as clicking the X on the trash label. The thing that makes computers, one of the things that makes computers so confusing is there's 5 ways of doing everything. And so people get confused naturally. So, so if I point out too many ways of doing something, just let me know to knock it off. Okay.
We do have a question. If you would repeat how to delete several emails.
Sure.
If you would
So
demo that again.
let's say, okay. So there's lots of ways of selecting emails. So let's say I come down here to my news label. Okay, and then you can see up here I talked about this the other day in the searching thing. So let's say I want to find all things in here that are from the New York Times. Okay, then this will just show me the New York Times things. And then I could add in more search criteria to say, show me ones that are before July 10th, right? And then it would get rid of these ones on the top. Or I could just come down here and let's say I just want to get rid of all of them. And you'll notice I am seeing all of them. I don't know if this is visible. It says 1 to 76 of 76. I've changed my settings to show 100 at a time. So let's say I select this guy, and then I come up here and I say, I don't want to see any of these ones before the 10th. I hold the Shift key down and click on this one. And shift clicking is a way of extending a selection. Either I could do that from the top to the bottom, or in this case, I did it bottom to top. And then I click delete, and those are now in the trash. Does that help?
And then once they're in the trash, would you just demo deleting from the trash again?
Sure. So if I look at my trash, okay, you'll notice here there's a message on the top. Let me zoom in a little. Can you see this? It says messages that have been in the trash for more than 30 days will be automatically deleted. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. And the same is true for spam. If I look at spam, says messages that have been in the spam more than 30 days will be automatically deleted, right? So the reality is you don't need to worry about this. So the first suggestion is don't worry about it. If it bothers you to have it in the trash, you can just come in here and select as many as you want to get rid of. Okay, like I had today's our garbage day. So I got a notification from Google to take my garbage out. And then I select as many as I want. I come up here and say delete forever. And they will be totally gone. Okay. And who asked that question?
That one was a couple of people asking about deleting.
All right. For the folks that asked that, just unmute yourself and let me know if that answered your question.
And some people would also like to delete even faster rather than the 30-day default.
That is actually a setting. Now the question, interesting question when it comes to settings is, can I find it? But,
Right.
And we do have another question about settings as well. They
okay, so
want
let
to
me go
know
over here and I say see all settings, and
to
I will.
see more than 50 as well.
Okay, good. So under general, okay, you see this general here? If it doesn't have this general in blue, just click on this. That's how you switch between the different pages of the settings, or what they call tabs, because they're like folder tabs. And if I wasn't blown up to such a large zoom setting, these would be in left. They're in 4 lines. They're normally in 1 or 2. But at any rate, under the general, if that's not blue, click on general, and you'll notice here it says maximum page size. Can everybody see that, or do you want me to blow it up a little?
I can see it.
I could
Right.
see it.
Then I have set this to 100. It normally comes in as 50, and I have changed this to 100. If they offered more, I would do more, because I'm on a broadband internet, I'm on a fast computer. If they did 500 at a time, it would be fine with me. But this is as far as they're willing to go. Okay. And then there was another question, Monique.
Setting for making trash delete quicker.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
People
a
are not
really good
patient.
question. One of the things that, like the Apple phone, I'm sure the Android does as well, when you go into settings, is it has a search screen, and it does not have that here. So I will see if it's in general, which is where I'm guessing it is. Let me see. You can see there's gobs and gobs of settings. Let's see. Let me see. Let me just find, I'm going to do a browser search for trash. Found that one. And it only finds those 2. So there's nothing in the, that's the easiest way, is to search inside of a page. So let me see if it's under advanced.
Yeah, I could not find it when I was checking Google Help.
Yeah,
So
I would be not amazed. I'd be a little surprised if it didn't have an option for that. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to look at it. If you really don't even want to see it, you never want to look at those labels, you can hide it. Again, I wouldn't recommend that for either spam or trash. They don't take up that much room. But sometimes it annoys people. So I'm going to say Gmail, remove trash sooner than 30 days. Oops. So when you're doing a Google search, or in this case, I'm following Judy again and using DuckDuckGo, but it's just the same kind of thing. It's just a search engine that is interested in privacy. What you normally want to do is put the computer you're working on followed by the program you're talking about, followed by your question. In this case, I don't care about the computer. And we'll just see what happens. How to stop emails.
there is a setting where you can turn off the automatic 30-day, but I just don't remember ever seeing anything other than being able to turn off the auto 30-day.
Let's do it. Let's see. This is probably telling us how to do it manually, but we'll see. So anyways, this is how I would figure it out. This is how I figure out things when I don't know what I'm talking about and realize it.
I just got an answer in the Google Help.
Yeah.
No, you cannot change, and this is dated August 19th. You cannot change the 30-day limit in the trash. The 30-day starts when the email gets in there. So you can turn it off, but you can't change the speed.
All right, good. I'm
One
picking
person.
up
How do
our
you-
beloved president. All right, so what's our next question?
Well, we have just a couple. One, is it okay to delete 8,000 emails at once? I
Yeah,
would say yes, if you're brave
yeah.
enough to do so.
The way
And
to do that is when I clicked. You remember I was in here in probably trash, and when I click on this, there aren't enough emails. But if like here it says 1 of 68. Let me see. Let me shrink this down to where you actually display. It says 1 to 68 of 68. I don't know, you probably can't see that. I'll just read it to you. It says 1-68 of 68. That means you're seeing all of them. If it says 1 to 100 or 1 to 50 of many, that means there's more of them. When you click on this checkbox up here, a little blue link will come up to let you select all of them. And then when you click the trash thing here, it will say, do you want to bulk delete all 4,000 messages or whatever? And you say yes. So you're not limited by how many you see, because when you click this checkbox, if there's more than can be seen, it will give you that little blue link to select all of them. And I think on the last talk we did, I actually had an example of that, because we were talking about labels and deleting things.
so I
Okay.
think we caught almost everything in chat through your answers.
Hmm.
I have a
At
question.
least the chat I can see.
Go ahead, Charlene.
Yeah, I had a question you missed. If you have email under only one label and then you get rid of the label,
Mhm.
does the email go to all mail? Is the only place you'd see it? Would it go to the inbox?
Well, that's a great question, Charlene. I'm glad you asked it. Yeah, so when you delete a label, first of all, it's not going to delete the emails. It's just going to remove the label from those emails and also remove it from your system. Okay, but the emails are the emails. If the emails had more labels than the one you're deleting, they will still have all of those labels. Again, deleting the label deletes that particular label from the emails that have it. Okay, but it doesn't change any of their other labels. So let's say some of them were in your inbox. If you delete that label, they'll still be in your inbox. Okay, does that help? Oh, Charlene.
If you've taken it out of your inbox and you've
Right.
given it a label.
Oh, yes, the all email. All email is just a way of looking at everything that isn't in the trash. So if it's out of the inbox, there's actually a little button called archive that you'll see periodically. And that just means remove the inbox label. So if it has no labels at all, including the inbox label, you can see that under all emails. That's correct.
I have a question.
Yes.
Elaine.
Another Eileen. Or
Does having
Elaine, sorry.
does having thousands of emails slow down the program, the Gmail program or AOL or?
Right. That's a great question. The answer is probably not. I would say no, but I'll hedge it a little bit and say probably not. Okay. In reality, we talked about this also the other day. Emails are tiny. Okay. If you think about the sizes of stuff on your computer, emails are measured in kilobytes, thousands of characters. Images are measured in megabytes, millions, 1,000 times as much, millions of characters, and videos are often measured in gigabytes, which is billions of characters. Okay, so if your email doesn't have an attachment, first of all, it's tiny. Okay, and your computer storage is measured in gigabytes. Okay, so there's 1 million of those for every kilobyte, right? So it's big, right? And so in reality, the thing that it will do for you in terms of Google and Gmail is you have a limited amount of space. It's big, but it's limited of free space on Google. If you're keeping a lot of big attachments, the things that make email big are attachments, not the email, right? So if somebody's sending you a new video every day or a new movie every day, right? And you're keeping those, then maybe you'll see that you're running out of space. But it wouldn't be on your computer, it would be on the cloud, on the Google Cloud that's storing your email. So as I mentioned the other day, when you're dealing with Gmail, all of your email is really on the internet, on the Google servers on the internet. You're only seeing part of it on your device, okay? Now your device has downloaded some of those emails, so it doesn't have to do it again the next time you want to look at it. That's called caching, C-A-C-H-E, caching. And, but the real email, in the sense of synchronizing and keeping things the same, is what's on the cloud. So what I mean by that, the fancy word for that is the source of record is used in accounting, okay, for those that like that. So the real true master data is on the cloud. And if your device differs from the cloud is right. That's what source of record means, okay? It doesn't have to look at them. The internet's, in this case, the source of record, the internet is by default, by definition is correct. Okay, so so the thing that will fill up is your storage on the cloud, and not very fast. Does that help?
It does help, although I have to say I've had difficulty with my Android phone with loading the current email. It doesn't happen on my tablet or my computer. Or my
Right. I don't have an Android phone, so I can't speak to that. It's certainly possible that it is saving up more stuff. And what I would do is look at the settings to see how much space you've got left on your phone. And it could be you're coming close to that amount of space, and that's causing it to do something weird, like, who knows, causing network traffic or extra network traffic because you're getting too close to the edge. And it will tell you what you're using that space for. And my guess is that it's not mail. It'll tell you how much space you're using for mail. But at any rate, there may be other things that you can get rid of to get you more space on your phone.
Dave, on an Android phone,
oh,
you can.
Monette is the Android expert. Sorry.
Well, no, I'm not the Android expert, but on Android phone with email, you may want to check your setting to make sure you're only looking at the latest 30 days of email rather than your whole email box. And so that can slow it down when you're trying to look at more than 30 days. You can still access your all email, but you don't have to have the view set so that it shows you all of the emails. You can have the view set to only show you the 30, and I found that to be a little faster. So I don't know if that is an issue, but that might be.
Thanks, Monette.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will check that.
Just raise your hand or shout out. Arlene?
It's Arlene. I
Yes.
have a question about the fact that.
Whoops, I can't hear you.
Hello?
Hello, Arlene? Maybe she dropped the phone.
Her mic is still on, but I'm not seeing
Hopefully she'll come back.
any sound being picked up.
Anybody else have something while we're waiting? Okay, well, I've probably put everybody to sleep. Okay.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Go ahead, Arlene.
Yes. Can you hear me now, Dave?
I can hear you. Yes, I can
Right,
see you as
okay.
well. That's great.
Yes. When I got my computer, Apple set up my mail,
Mm-hmm.
and I have AOL and Gmail.
Good.
And I really cannot see all those symbols
Right.
at the top of the email that you were referring to all the time.
Sure. Well, my guess is that you're using the mail program on your this is on a Mac, right? You're talking
Yes.
about? Yeah, my guess is you're using that little envelope icon, the MAIL, the mail program
Right.
on your Mac rather than your browser. So
Right.
what we're talking about here, as I tried to explain in the beginning, is strictly using your browser and going to gmail.com.
Right.
So this is if you went into Safari and went to Gmail, and if it was set up right to show you your accounts and so on, then you'd see the stuff that we were looking at. Okay, if you use the email program on the Mac, it can do a whole bunch of things. It can look at your mail, it can search for things, it can delete things. The search isn't quite as good as the Gmail search, but it lets you at least search for words. But it doesn't have filtering because it's not the Gmail program. I don't know if Gmail makes a standalone, or Google, I should say, makes a standalone program for the Mac, but there's no particular need for it. It works really well in the browser.
So if I went to the browser and set up all these filters, will that keep me from getting the mail filtered because I have the the mail program set up by Apple? And I don't see what you were talking about on my computer.
Yeah, what I would say is I do this thing on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we actually do Macs on Thursdays, so you've missed it for this week.
Okay.
But next week, Judy can probably send you the information. Just come out, it's 9:30 Mountain Time. I'm not
It's
sure
in
where
every
you
one,
located.
the information is in every one of my follow-up emails. It's always there. It says virtual and phone tech help, and then there's all the listing there.
Right, so you'll
including
get that with
Dave's
the follow-up email
Yeah,
today.
it's in the
called
email right now.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank
It's
you.
called Apple Addicts, and it explains the timing and stuff. So come in on a Mac Thursday, and we'll talk about it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to clarify. So I'll have to download the recording. It'll go into follow-up. I already put the handout in there. I put the information about Senior Planet membership, about feedback. If you want the Colorado or any other location schedule, how to do that, how to set up a Zoom account if you want to do that, and the virtual and phone tech help. Is there anything I missed that I promised?
Well, he was just talking about something on Tuesdays. What's that?
That's in here. It's the Apple Addicts. It's in here. It's under virtual and phone tech help. So
Yeah,
that's
we
already
do
in
a
here.
Zoom call. Don't see who asked that. Was that Suzanne?
Yeah.
So Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, rather than just doing one-on-one help of helping one person, turns out most people have the same questions. So we just do it all together, and there's a chance that your question will be answered before you even know you had it. So that's what we do Tuesdays and Thursday morning.
And we also have, for non-Apple people, on Fridays, you can schedule a one-on-one appointment, and you can also call New York, the National Tech Hotline, which is Monday through Friday. I can't remember their, but normal like business hours. And they will help you with any tech question right on the spot. So you can do that. Our trainers, our wonderful Senior Planet trainers, man that hotline. So that's a really great resource to get your questions answered too. What I do say though is for the Apple Addicts and the not Apple things. So what Dave does with Apple Addicts and John does with the Friday non-Apple, I really want you to be a Senior Planet member. That is a benefit that we set up in Colorado. We're happy to do it for other parts of the country, but I want you to do that. I look up on John, I make everybody email me, and I check to make sure you're a member or not, and then I ask you to become a member. So I don't have to do that. If you become a member before you would ask for any of that help, we really would appreciate that. Again, the numbers mean everything to us. So, oh, and Monette also put in the Google's, oh, I'm going to add that in, Monette, the support for Google Help.
And I didn't want people to get confused
Yeah.
that the link I put in is just for Google, from Google. That's not Dave.
That's right. That's right.
Dave is ours, not Google's.
Exactly.
I put in the Google Drive link earlier. That has all these files in it. I can do that again, just for anybody that joined late. Let me.
So Judy, where are you sending all this information? Because I don't have a printer. Can I send it to my Gmail?
I send it to whatever email address you give me in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm emailing it. I have consistently emailed you every single time you've put the email in there. If you're not getting the emails, you need to check your spam first. And then if not, you need to let me know. And at judy@seniorplanet.org.
I did get one from you.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that was just an answer to my,
Oh, no. If you put your email into the chat, sometimes what happens is some of you get, well, I will get a bounce back from some of your emails that you can't take. So the attachments are too big, or the whatever it is, like whatever settings you have set up on your email are forcing you not to get my emails. And I just don't have the bandwidth to follow up on every one of those. So if you do get, you're not getting it, let me know directly. Also, if you have maybe a secondary email address, we might try that one, and I can easily forward it to you. So again, Judy, Judy, @seniorplanet.org. And I will, I'll definitely, so if you email me, then I can answer from that email, and I'll forward you on that that information. And I'll add you to my address book too, so it isn't problematic on my end too.
Yeah, this is a classic case of the wrong stuff going into spam. And that's what the not spam button is for. That tells.
And I will tell you that the overwhelming majority of the newsletter, I shouldn't say overwhelming majority, but a large number of emails that I send to our Colorado members who've requested the email goes into their spam.
Yeah, you might have noticed when I was going through the filters and all the things you can set a filter to do. One of them is to say, never put this in spam again. So if you say this isn't spam and for some reason it keeps putting it in spam, just create one of these filters, and rather than skip the inbox, just check that do not put into spam, and that'll keep it from happening.
There's another setting too, I think, that so I'm sending these as a large group email directly from my Senior Planet work account, right? And so sometimes, when your email sees that I'm sending a bulk email, they'll definitely put it into spam. So I would wonder if the majority, because I just don't have time to break it up into multiple emails.
I've not had that problem personally, but again, if anyone out there is continuing to get it in spam after they said not to, just set up a filter and say don't put it in spam, and that should override them.
Oh, Judy, you just asked if there's a class about password managers, which you just reminded me what I forgot to include. And that is all the past, so every recording that we've done to date is on a spreadsheet. And I send that spreadsheet to you so you can go and listen to any of those past recordings. So that is on there. I can't remember the date, but you just scroll through, you'll see it. Yeah, we looked at LastPass as one of them, but just as the example, but you'll see that we were talking about password management, and that's on that list. listen to that recording. And if any of you are listening to recordings and it prompts additional questions, don't hesitate to come back to us and ask, and we'll see if we can get those questions asked. I'll go back to that subject matter expert and we'll figure it out. Anything else? Oh, I'm so glad you asked that because that's exactly what I forgot.
Dave,
Yeah.
we just had someone who's worried if you were sharing your entire content on Google Drive.
Well, I'm sharing all the talks that I've done in the
Yeah.
lunchtime classes, and there's
Yeah,
a few other
and
things
those are in the on that spreadsheet as well. So if Dave had a handout and a recording,
Yeah.
all of his things are recorded, and then the handouts are on that spreadsheet that I'm going to send you to. So let me-
Yeah, I've done some Mac specific things like Mac shortcuts and how to share your screen on the Mac and other things, but all the lunchtime things which are there.
And then Elaine,
oh, go ahead.
Jay?
Yes. I did have a question, Judy, about membership. Just, I need some clarification.
Sure.
I made a donation recently, but I didn't sign up as a member. Do you become a member of a particular branch?
Yeah. So when you made the donation, you probably became a member.
I think they
and
asked.
Let me explain something that's really quirky about this organization. All of the different geographies, so there's 6 different locations, right? And we all have different funders. And so sometimes it makes the quirks funny, right? So New York City, they call you a participant when you fill out that form. When you fill out the form and you make a donation, could be like $1 even, you become a member. So they classify a member as someone who's made a donation. In Colorado, we classify a member as someone who's filled out the application. And then we then call a highly engaged member. So there's 2 levels, right? That this has nothing to do with you, but the funders see, okay, here's how many people filled out the form. And then here's how many people actually do stuff, right? And so then these are how we track. And then the funders are like, yes, good, you're doing good. Okay, we'll give you more money. That's what we want to have happen, right? So it's the idea of this engagement, but it's also the idea of the numbers of people who we get as members. So in New York and some other locations, you're considered a participant unless you make a donation, which makes you a national member. In Colorado, we are absolutely not allowed to have a financial component to our membership based on our funder. So, but that will change too if that funder no longer funds and we have other. So it's always it's a little complicated, but the idea is to just fill out the form, that we get you in the database, and that we can get. So in other words, when we're reporting to funders, we're not saying, Elaine, age so-and-so, makes this much money, does this, lives here, you know, is interested in X, Y, and Z. That's not what we're doing. We're tallying and saying, okay, we have a certain amount of people between 60 and 70, and the average age is this, and the average income is that. And because certain funders fund based on, some are based on a poverty level. So we would do certain programs for people who are at the poverty level. And, so that's why this demographic information is so important, because it attracts groups, funding groups that are interested in certain situations. And I have to say that right now, because of the pandemic, we are looking at a horrible situation of isolation and loneliness, and it's our job. So technology is our hook, right? But what we really are doing is forming a community of friends. There's so many of us who have been on together over 90 times, and we are getting so close. Alberta's got her thumb up, and Iris is one of them, and and Stella and Jermaine, and so many of us who come on all the time that look forward to hanging out together, and breaking up the day at this particular time, but then there are others who are doing it when they're exercising or in all the other programming that all the areas are putting out. So it's really key. And it's also now, those of you who've come on from other parts of the country, now you've changed our model. Okay, so now we're going to funders and saying, wait a minute, it's not just New York City or Palo Alto or San Antonio or Colorado or wherever. It's all over. We've even had people from all over the world come in. So this is, our work is evolving and progressing in a way that we're so thrilled with. So, but then we have to say, okay, how can we reach those people who are feeling so alone, but maybe they can't afford internet or don't understand it or don't have devices. So we've been funded for programs to help with that. And we're doing everything we can to get as many people connected as possible. So if you have friends or family who are feeling lonely or whatever, even if they're not necessarily, they say, oh, I don't want to, learn about technology. And you can even say, well, come on with me one day. And you and I can meet on Zoom. And even if you just learn how we can talk to each other privately on Zoom, there's all of these benefits that we want to extend to everybody in terms of this education. But anyway, I've babbled on. We're really late today.
And we have quite a few thank yous to you, Dave, to you, Judy, to Senior Planet in general. So I just want to acknowledge that. I wasn't able to say bye to everybody, but
yeah, so thank you for staying on. This is a long one, so it'll take this a while to download, but the email is all ready to go, and I will press the button as soon as I download and then upload to YouTube. So we'll get it to you probably later today. All right, everyone. I just want to let you know, if you're interested, tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Oh, that's me. Finding qualified professionals. So you take a couple days off, you lose track. So
even during the day, we lose track of what's going on tomorrow.
Exactly. Okay, so have a great afternoon, everybody. And hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow.